Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a close look at some pretty fascinating demographic shifts happening in Malaysia,
Mm.
specifically their rapidly aging population,
Right.
and we'll be unpacking the speed at which this is all happening, what it means for their economy,
Hmm.
what it means for their healthcare system, and all the challenges that come with it.
It is a fascinating topic.
Yeah. And it's interesting because by 2057, Malaysia is actually projected to be a super-aged society. Have you ever heard of that term?
Oh, yeah. Definitely familiar with that.
So we'll find out what that means and all the implications.
Yeah, let's get into it. I think one of the most remarkable things is just how fast this demographic shift is taking place.
I know it's way faster than anyone expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to give everyone an idea of the numbers we're talking about,
Uh-huh.
by 2040, almost 1 in 5 Malaysians will be over the age of 60.
Yeah, that's a significant portion of the population. And just think about it this way. In 2020, there were 2.3 million elderly individuals. That number is going to jump to 5.8 million by 2030. And then by 2040, it'll be a whopping 8.2 million.
That is a huge increase.
Mhm.
So that brings us to this concept of a super-aged society,
Right, exactly. And that basically means that more than 20% of the population is 60 or older.
right?
And it's not just a number. It represents a huge shift in society.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, everything will be impacted. Consumer goods, services, housing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you have to rethink urban planning,
Right.
everything.
Mhm.
And Malaysia is on track to hit this milestone by 2057.
Now, we know that a lot of countries with aging populations see a slowdown in economic growth.
Right?
Is that kind of unavoidable for Malaysia, or are there things they can do to counter that?
It's a good question. It's a really complex issue, but there are definitely proactive steps that Malaysia can take. Now, it's true that between 1980 and 2010, Malaysia did see a decrease in GDP as the elderly population grew, but that doesn't have to be the future.
Okay, good. So what can they do?
Well, just to give you a sense of the potential impact,
Yeah.
a 1% increase in the elderly population can actually lead to a 6.6% drop in GDP growth. And that's partly due to a shrinking workforce.
Yeah.
Fewer working individuals, which means less productivity.
Right.
And that directly impacts economic growth.
So what can they do about it?
Well, there are a few things. I mean, we can look to other countries who face similar challenges, and some have found success in encouraging higher birth rates,
Oh, interesting.
promoting immigration to kind of bolster the workforce, or investing heavily in retraining older workers to keep them engaged in the economy longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that really jumped out at me when I was reading about all of this was the statistic that Malaysians spend almost a decade of their lives in poor health.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the factors that are contributing to that?
Absolutely. It's great that people are living longer,
Yeah.
but we also have to consider the quality of those extra years. And unfortunately, in Malaysia, a lot of those years are spent dealing with chronic, non-communicable diseases, things like heart disease, diabetes, cancer. And these conditions require ongoing care and management, which puts a strain on both individuals and the healthcare system.
So it's not just about people aging.
Yeah.
It's about the health problems that come along with it.
Exactly. We're also seeing an increase in age-related illnesses like dementia, which require specialized care. And projections show that Malaysia could have over 600,000 dementia patients by 2057.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And combined with the increase in chronic illnesses, this is going to put a huge strain on healthcare resources, both in terms of facilities and trained personnel.
Yeah, so it sounds like Malaysia has some pretty big challenges on the horizon. A shrinking workforce,
Yeah.
a potential economic slowdown,
Mm-hmm.
and a healthcare system that's going to be really stretched thin.
The challenges are definitely real, but
Yeah.
there are also opportunities.
Yeah.
This demographic shift isn't unique to Malaysia.
Right. A lot of countries are dealing with this.
A lot of countries are facing similar issues.
Yeah.
And some are finding really innovative ways to adapt.
That's good. So what do you think?
Well, it raises a really important question. How can Malaysia adapt its infrastructure, its economy, and its healthcare system, not just to cope with this aging population, but to make sure that its elderly citizens have a good quality of life?
That's a really, really important question. And I think this deep dive has given us all a lot to think about. It's a topic that's going to impact all of us in some way. So I would encourage everyone listening to learn more about these demographic shifts, not just in Malaysia, but globally. Thanks for joining us.